Well, today we are here with Leslie Randall. Very excited to hear this 95 client touch point plan. This is brand new, brand spanking new. She was even probably dreaming about this last night.
That's actually how I came up with this, is that I couldn't sleep one day. And it's, yeah, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning and instead of going back to sleep, I whipped up this 95 touch point.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
145 watching tennis.
Hey, it's whatever makes, whatever helps. I probably should have done about 10 other things, but it just, it got me thinking because we right now have, the last one that I've done was revitalize the pipeline, but that kind of started with kind of a blitz tier with an 8-week plan. And it got me thinking like, well, where do I start and where do I go after that? Because in a lot of our business planning, I talk to agents about wanting to kickstart their sphere again. And they haven't been keeping in touch with their clients. They're worried they want to get it back in the gear. And so we talk a lot about, okay, here's your 8 weeks and then just maintain contact from there. So this is almost a continuation of that, but this can be added or started at any point in time. It can be used for people that are not even your clients yet. You could use it for family and friends. You can use it for recently closed transactions and just add some touch points, but 95 is kind of where the minimum is. And I'll talk about more extenuating points of contact and communication and even add on top of that too. All right, so I just jump on in since I have a tendency to talk when I geek out.
I said it's a bit echoey. Anybody else having any?
I'm going to talk right up to this.
Not in here.
Just in a bigger space than me.
Yeah, this is a bigger space. We have the air conditioning turned off to keep it as quiet as we can.
Wonderful top here. Just having that every week. Okay, so we're going to jump right in and really talk about why it's entirely important to have continued conversations with your clients. Because of this stat, this has not changed very much, and this worries me because it's in the middle of the funnel, right? 88% of clients said that they would use their agent again, but only 12% actually do. And that's a really important stat because, what's out there are a lot of agents that will do a lot better job than most of us when it comes to keeping in touch with their clients. So what I recommend is making sure that you have a plan in place. And we'll talk about this 95 touch point is a lot of it is automated. It will take a little bit of time to set up, but then you can just keep it rolling, use your CRM and make sure that all of those different points and pieces are all put together. The other thing that I would recommend too, as we're talking about clients and keeping that retention point with them because you want referrals as well. But it's really about staying top of mind because it takes 7 to 12 times for anyone to remember you, that you are in real estate and that you will be the one to call. So anytime that someone thinks about real estate, they want you to think, you want them to think about you and not the person that has been sending them postcards and blasting them on Facebook for the last 2 years, because that will then be their top of mind. And you already have a head start because these are people that you know that have probably already used you or will use you, potentially friends and family. So you don't want someone that is working more on building or farming to just come in and swoop up your client, because I would probably venture to guess that every realtor, and they might be lying if they say no, has lost a client to somebody else because they did not keep in touch with them or didn't adequately keep in touch with them. So this plan it's kind of big and all encompassing. But really the point and the purpose is to be able to take certain pieces that you can insert into yours or build it from scratch. So if you already have a really great system that you use to keep in touch with your clients, which I know a lot of you guys do, this could just be sprinkling in between to just enhance it. So this is meant to be taken on both as it is built and also you can chunk it out. The other thing too is I'm going to focus a lot on the things that are mostly automated, like I said, but this is not going to be instructional because there are 2 types of trainings. One where I tell you 1 through 10, here you go, how often do it. The other is talking about what the plan and the structure is. So there will be a survey sent out after this, and it will be really, really important for you guys to fill it out because that will then let me know if we want to do follow-up classes on this about any specific item that I talk about, because I will probably talk about, I think, 5 specific tools that we have with Better Homes and for your CRM or the OEBR. So we'll hop into it. Okay, 12 months, 95 touches. We have 38 that are automated. If you do, I think it's 4 different things, you will get 38 touch points that you do not have to do anything with afterwards. 25 additional touch points are for, they're going to take a little bit more management as you go, but not a lot, because we have a lot of tools and templates that are already there to help guide you. You might just have to add a couple of pieces here and there. There are 17 that will take extra effort, but they have a higher impact and a higher value if you do them correctly. And those 17 that have extra effort, they also will have additional points of conversation and opportunities for you to reach out to your clients. So it's not just that 17 that are extra effort, it's 17 that are a little bit bigger that you can chunk down and then have more points of contact. And then there's 15 that are really easy bonus touches that really just piggyback off of what we're talking about. All right, set it and forget it. There's 38 of these, 6 bonus touch points. And I will probably go off on tangents on the other ways that you can talk to your clients, or also different ways that you can start the conversation and what to say. Because oftentimes when you're in these trainings, it's like, great, I'm supposed to call them and say what? And then we put off calling them or texting them or reaching out because we don't necessarily know what to say. And although I don't have content built for you, because I believe that you should have your own voice in how you're talking to and representing yourself with your clients, I do have talking points that we'll talk about that aren't on the actual presentation. And then if you have any thoughts or suggestions or something that you found that has worked really well in tandem with these, feel free to pop in chat or get laser pointed straight on you. Okay, first one. I know you guys probably thought that you could not get through a training without me talking about the Better Homes and Gardens magazine. So this is the easiest way to get 12 automatic contacts in your database with your clients. I love the magazine for a couple of reasons. One, it's our brand. So when people are associating Better Homes and Gardens, and they know that you are Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, every time that they see that brand, that will be another top of mind thing for you. So every time they're at Walmart grabbing those candles that have our Better Homes on it, or they're seeing an ad within the magazines, they're going to be subconsciously thinking about you. So the brand will be working for you if you are branding yourself with your clients. It will come with a custom label that will have your picture. You can tweak what the message says every month. So you can, and then there's also, if you do bold wording, you can really customize how that entire label looks. The other thing with the magazine that I really like is the additional touch points that you have. So it's not just sending out the magazine. You want to utilize that to the max, right? This gives you 4 different opportunities to have conversations with your client about one topic. So that first one, you could either call, text, or my recommendation is sending a personal note. Send a note that says, hey, thanks for the transaction, or hey, I was thinking about you. I'm sending you this Better Homes and Gardens magazine gift. I think you'll really enjoy it. Call me with any questions. After that point, once you sign them up, within, I think it's 2 to 4 weeks, they will get a postcard from Better Homes and Gardens magazine that says that you've given them a gift of the magazine subscription. I've got one. I didn't bring it, I should have, but it's like this big and it is done really, really nicely. I was thinking it was just going to be one of those standard, I'm going to get magazine stuff. It's kind of a paper little thing. It's a very nicely done and it's automatically done for you. So right there, you don't even have to think about it. The next point in time is contacting them when they are set to receive their magazine subscription. So there's a schedule within the greenhouse that shows these timing. So if you order it today, roughly when they'll get their postcard and then when they'll get their first magazine. It's typically 6 to 8 weeks because you have to catch it on that next printing cycle. So you just want to keep that in mind, especially if you're looking at doing like Christmas or holiday ones. You want to start ordering those 2 months ago, really. I think that there might be an opportunity to still get in for the December, but it might be the January issue. So if you're thinking about that, just be thinking a little bit ahead of that. The other point after that is when they are set to renew. That gives you another opportunity to reach out to them to see if they'd like to continue their subscription or if they'd like to change to another magazine. So there are multiple magazines you can do that you can customize. So if you have a bachelor that you know is not gonna read Better Homes and Gardens magazine, you can send them something else that might fit more appropriately to your client and what they will find valuable to you. The other thing with that too is, you get an opportunity within your database who's getting your magazines, is you can then flip through those articles and see what pertains to your clients. So if there's something in there about paint colors and you know they talk about one who's redoing their house, we'll send them a quick text or message and say, hey, did you see that article? Also another opportunity if you have somebody that's not on your database or magazine staff if they want a magazine. So the other thing with this too, that I will maybe touch on, but probably hopefully not skip over too much, is how to remember all of these things, right? So if I set up for somebody right now and they're getting a magazine in December and I forget, and then it's March of the next cycle, we've missed our opportunity. That's where your CRM is going to come in. That's where Moxi can help you keep track of these things. If you can tag them specifically, you can add those reminders to yourself so that it will pop up on your dashboard a week before there's a big and then you can reach out to your clients. Also the same time frame for when they are supposed to get their very first magazine. Put that in your Moxi database so that it pops up and reminds you. And that's where your CRM is going to be critically important, because there are a lot of these touch points really are going to, they're automated, but some of them might need just a little bit of managing. These ones though, you set it, send it, forget. Even if you do not do the personal note, the call, the text, they're still getting 12 and that one postcard, so you've got 13 touches right there. The cost for it is $13.25 a year. So for $13.25, you cannot send anything better that is branded to you and is of value to your clients. So just keep that in mind. It is not free, but it is probably the most bang for your buck. Any questions on the magazines, or has anybody found them being really successful?
The only time I did not find them successful is I sent them to businesses. And some of them have some strict policies about they were checking off the label basically by dentist office. So I was like,
I worth my $13. Thanks,
Yeah.
so. Then did you go in and sneak your postcards inside of them?
Absolutely.
You know, like
every appointment.
Every appointment.
Move it back to the top.
Weird. But that is a good point, because we did used to encourage sending to the people that you know in those businesses, but in that circumstance specifically, and also we're finding that people already have those subscriptions there, so then it's not providing as much value.
Well, and then we have other realtors and other people that
Yeah.
are clients, those people like throw out the labels too. I know I do.
Except that the staff's going to get it.
Yeah,
Very true.
exactly.
Very
Exactly.
They were just mailed and
Sure.
they're relating that. So it's still branding in my mind.
I agree, and that's a great point too, because when you're mailing these out, it isn't a clear, well, it used to be in a clear container, now they've, it's just the magazine itself, higher quality. So anybody that is touching that magazine is seeing your face, that you're with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, and that you're there to sell.
Well, I know a lot of businesses that I go to, they've taken magazines away, but maybe this would be a good opportunity to bring those back if they don't have any.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. There's all sorts of ways that the magazine can be used. So it is probably one of my favorite tools that we have. If it were free, it would be my favorite, but you can't get any better. And it's done for you, no thinking whatsoever.
But you can buy it unpersonalized. It's like for $4 a subscription.
yeah, $5.
I mean, it's dirt cheap. So one of the other things I think a couple people have done is buy several subscriptions for themselves. So they throw them in like closing gifts, Pop-by baskets, and that kind of stuff.
Listing appointments.
Yeah.
Appointments, yeah.
I think that's a great way to use it.
So I started trying to buy the Better Homes and Gardens products like at Walmart. They have like actually a nice selection of like outdoor candles, tea towels, just stuff that people are going to buy anyway. And it's kind of helping people realize that, oh, we are part of that as well.
Yeah, and it also, those are the things that are going to be sitting out too.
Mhm.
So some of our kind of Pop-bys that are maybe more cost effective on our end for the masses might not be around as much as a really nice something branded that will sit out. All right, neighborhood news. This one is new with Moxi. This is very quickly popping up on my top. So Moxi News or Neighborhood News with Moxi is another set it and forget it. It provides not only a monthly update of what's happening in their neighborhood, but it also will send out when there's new activity. So if there's a new house that's coming up on the market, there's new that's sold, it will send it. It also is very interactive. So when they get that email, they can click through and it will let you know who's doing what. So they get that email, if they click on it, you will be notified in Moxi and you can look on their history to see what they are clicking on and what they're, not how much time they're spending, but how much they're interacting with that email. The other thing that they can do too is they can customize it. So when you set it up for them, you have to set it up by zip code or neighborhood, but they can adjust those parameters and not just by a very stagnant box of sorts. They can draw on the map what they want to see and they can sign up for more. So if there's a neighboring part of town or if there's somewhere where they are looking to maybe move in the future, they can sign up for alerts on that too, and it will still always come back to you. So that's what we want to do and make sure is that you are getting those touch points. You're getting that reach towards them because there is so much information out there right now. We can really get it from anywhere. There's algorithms all over the board, right? And you can't find, it's actually kind of nice if there's algorithms everywhere because they're all incorrect. And so it's not like they're getting an incorrect one from you, they're getting an incorrect or off from pretty much any algorithm they're getting. However, with this one, you can see an example up here, is that it will show you very specific information and they can play around with what's there. It asks if they would like information on mortgages or refinancing. It tells them what the averages are, so days on market, your average for sale, and it tells them what's been happening recently. This is also a good opportunity for a bonus touch point, which is to call them to thank them for subscribing, or call them to say, hey, I really think that you would enjoy this tool that I have. We might not call it a tool, but this resource that I have for you. If you don't like it, great, you can unsubscribe. Otherwise, I feel like you're going to enjoy actually playing around and seeing what your neighborhood is doing. This one actually would be perfect for a video because you can describe and explain what they're going to be getting and how they're going to be getting it. And that's 13 extra touch points. You don't have to do anything with it. So even if you just sign them up, don't call them, don't just wait for them to either unsubscribe or call you yelling at you because their neighbor did whatever. That's definitely still 12 plus touch points, depending on how active their neighborhood is. HomeBot is the next one. This is also an automated, absolutely all you do is set it up from the get-go and forget about it. With this one, it provides, this is from the OEBR. They have given us an upgraded version of it. But if you have not played around with HomeBot, I highly, highly encourage you to do so. I really like the neighborhood news that we just talked about, but HomeBot dives in a little bit deeper. So HomeBot's going to tell your client specifically what their valuation is, but it will also give them public data information too. So it will have mortgage information, what their payoff looks like. If they add an extra, say, $50 a month to their payment, what that's going to do and how much they'll save. It also tells them the potential profit if they were to do an Airbnb or to rent it. And it also gives them the option to select what their overall condition is, if they've done upgrades or added or rolled run. This one I've heard of more of that in press point than I think anything. So
That's one I actually want to get mine.
yeah. And it's fun to play around with too. It is, it's interesting, and it's interesting to see what the valuations are. And I have had agents go, well, what if it's really off in this market right now? We can't predict what the pricing is at 3 months ago, so I was pulling 6 months of data, or this is, it seems inaccurate. It's the conversation, and it's how you present it to them. And when you're setting them up for this, you talk to them about, hey, listen, you're going to find all of this information, but you can adjust what you've done and what your valuation essentially is, so the algorithm can update itself. So if you're talking to your clients and making sure that they are aware of that, and it's an interesting tool to kind of see how the data changes month over month, then it really is, you'll find the clients that are super geeks about the statistics, because you'll also be able to see the information on your dashboard. So if you're utilizing this beyond just having that automation and you're taking it to the next step, your dashboard is going to show you who's interacting with that on a regular basis. This one I highly recommend for anyone in your database or that you have ever known. Because even if you never thought that your friend of a friend would ever sell because they've told you a million times they're never going to sell, if you start seeing them pop in here more and more, it's worth the conversation. And it's a conversation that can be started not only by, hey, you want to sell a house, I work by referral. It's that conversation of, what did you think about your house value? Did you think it was accurate? Are there things that you would do? Have you ever thought about remodeling, or have you ever thought about what that would look like? So the conversation goes beyond just asking for the sale. And since most of us are in relational marketing and relational business, that's where we're going to shine, and how we provide the value and how we start the conversation versus leading the conversation with the app. All right, any questions on those three? Because this again is another one where they will get one 12 times. They will get one every
That's
month.
available now through, you know, because like when I signed up, I thought you had to be tied to the lender to get it.
No, this one,
Directly.
only the arbor, so I don't know about Flyer.
Yeah, that's fine. But
Yeah.
I didn't feel like you do it. But it was marketed to me, I had marketed as if it had been tied, so the lender gets all that information as well, like a little more delicate about adding people to that list.
Yeah, absolutely. And you still can partner with a lender, but yes, OEBR did
Free for them to.
free through them up to 500 per month, and then after that, it's the question. So it's I really like it. This one, again, these are kind of creeping up in my easy to do and big impact list. And there's a lot out there that really, we don't have to kind of get lost in having to do all 95 of these, because there's a lot to it, especially when we get to kind of those middle and end ones. But these are really, I would consider these three, consider how you can implement them into your business right now. And then easy. Birthday cards, birthday email, birthday video, and the Houseaversary. So I recommend, even if you did not sell them their home, put their home anniversary into your CRM and have it remind you of it. Because you can still reach out to them. Who knows if their realtor is or has, or if they've been there forever. It's a nice little reminder and a gesture that is a little, I think the Houseaversary is more important than the birthday, because it's so unique and different. And everyone's kind of expecting that. You're kind of in the floodgates of happy birthdays when you're sending messages on Facebook and texts or cards. When you're doing the Houseaversary, you're probably one of one, or one of maybe two, if there's another agent that's trying to work with them as well. So it's a really good tool. And I think that sometimes we get stuck in thinking that we can't send them these congrats on you've been in your home for X amount of years if we haven't sold them the home. So that's, I think, a really good thing to add to kind of your bag of tricks, is adding Houseaversaries. And again, your CRM is going to be extremely important. Those first three you can set and forget, unless you would like to call them when it comes time to renew, or do those extra points of making sure that they're getting that subscription. This is another one where you have to have your CRM working for you. And I know that sometimes can get where we feel like it's too much or too big, is if we're not utilizing our CRM on a regular basis, or it feels like a big elephant to eat, right? So go in and just start month by month. Maybe find all the people in your database that have purchased that month previously or bought their home previously, and just start adding them there. You don't have to tackle your entire database all at once. You can do it in chunks and still get the same amount of impact. And it actually might be more beneficial, if you're going to implement a lot of these things at once, to break down your CRM and your sphere into more manageable chunks. Because if you're going to really do it right, and you're really going to make sure that you're reaching out and having a personal conversation or a personal touch with each person that you're setting up on these, you want to make sure it's manageable for you. Because if you're trying to do 150 of these all at once, then you're going to have all of those next year all at once start popping up. So break it down, make it easy, and those implementations will be highly impactful. Okay, that was the first section. So that was my most exciting, biggest, easiest part to implement. Are there any questions on anything that we've talked about in those last tools, or anything that you found in the past with your CRM that's been beneficial or extremely automated? Other than, we'll get into a couple other things with that. New tools come out all the time. So we're constantly looking at what the OEBR is implementing and adding for us too, which are a few other tools that I won't get into in this course, but there's definitely expansion pieces to this. So if you're interested in learning more about how to implement these things specifically, then we can do another class on that later. Because the other thing with that entire first automated chunk is really great for is for farming. So if you're trying to build up your database, you're giving them a call to action to retarget them to your site so that you can gather their data. So that they basically raised their hand and said, yes, I would like to find out every month what my home value is. Yes, I want to find out what my neighbors are doing. Yes, I want that magazine subscription, right? So you're giving them a call to action in and among your farming efforts versus just sending out generic or specific postcards that are, hey, I have a buyer, or whenever you'd like to buy or sell your home, now's the time. This gives really specific and valuable information to, especially to people that you don't know. Okay, 25 touch points, a little bit of effort. One of those is the newsletter. Audra and Kathy design a really great newsletter every month. It is extremely easy to customize through Canva. There are just a little bit of things that you need to do to make sure that your picture and your information, contact information is there. But other than that, they provide all of the content and the formatting and the branding for you. So it's a really easy way that we've made sure, and Audra has spent a lot of time every month and Tom pulling data for it, and that it's a really great resource. And this can be either emailed or mailed.
Or EDDM. We have 3 templates now. We also have EDDM.
3 opportunities that you can utilize, and you can also do variations of the newsletters too. So to take kind of your newsletter to the next step, if you were to mail this out to your sphere or to your contacts, you could take bits and pieces of this and repurpose it into a shorter email or a social media post. You can take that content and make it work for you beyond just what is traditionally here. And then one more touch is that call them, email, write, send courier pigeon, I don't know, what Morse code. Ask them if you're getting it. Let them know that you will be sending it to them. This will be slightly important, especially if you have people on your database that you might think might not want it or might be annoyed by having spam to it. But you guys know your database better than anybody else. So if there's anybody on there you might think wouldn't like it or it would work negatively towards you, then you can always just extract them out. And the same goes with when we're adding these additional contacts. So like we said before, as you can text or call, it really is knowing your client's preferred method of contact. So if you know that they're never going to pick up their phone ever because they just don't ever talk on the phone, we'll shoot them a text, make a video. In Canva, you can make graphics that you can text through too. So there's multiple ways that you can get in touch with your clients that will really make sure that you're touching them in the way that it's going to be the most impactful for them. All right, 16 more touches that require little effort, but you do still have to add some effort to it. One of those is seasonal maintenance tips or anything that's seasonal. Those can be recreated and sent to the masses. They don't need to be specific to buyers, sellers, to mom, to teacher, to whoever. These can be set up and sent really to anyone. And again, you can repurpose these and put them on social media, send them in an email. Even go so far as to remind them to clean their gutters, take that little piece out. You know, what can you be that's seasonal as a reminder and a value? Moxi does have drip campaigns that are seasonal maintenance tips. And so that's another way to add your CRM and make it work for you while you're not working on it. Taking those people, putting them in, getting them signed up on all these different automated pieces, and then getting them on that seasonal drip campaign too. And there's a lot of other campaigns within Moxi that I really like, but for the purpose of this piece, I like this more because it's a more of a personal touch. Most of these things that are these 95 are more in that personal genre of, you know them, it's an authentic voice, you're providing value. Drip campaigns in kind of its true essence is really generic and boilerplate. And so if you're going to do drip campaigns alongside of these, I would suggest that you tweak them so that the voice sounds similar to yours, that your email signature is similar to what your actual email signature is, so that it does feel like and still has that impact of a unique touch point. So there's way too much clutter and busyness and distraction in the world that we really do have to hyper focus on what our sphere individually are doing. The next one are handwritten notes. 4 times a year, quarterly, do a handwritten note. Doesn't have to be about anything in particular. I would say you could stalk them on Facebook or social media and see what's been going on in their lives. Or just a simple note of, hey, I was thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you and your family. Again, with these handwritten notes, using your CRM is going to be extremely impactful for you, because if you're writing 4 handwritten notes, you maybe don't want to repeat the message. So if you've already congratulated them on their kids' football game right at the cusp, and then it pops back up, you want to know that you've already said this or that, or you want to know what they're involved with, so that you can have something more specific and genuine to talk about as you're calling, contacting, writing notes, all those pieces. Again, with the branded too, we have some really, really great note cards. They are beautiful. They have wonderful branding and they look great. We also have some that are specific to the Omaha and Council Bluffs area as well, so that hyper local feel, and then also ones that are just really great looking. So Auburn and Cassie worked hard, and we try to keep those relatively updated throughout the years, so that we're not constantly, so we're not getting stale. And then again, one annual CMA or equity report. I guess not again, this is the first time I talk about it. So every year, it's a great opportunity to reach out to your clients and go, hey, I know you're getting that neighborhood news. Hey, I know you're getting the monthly market home buy. Hey, I know you've got the magazine subscription. Do you still find those relevant? Do you have questions on them? And can I get you a personalized CMA where I actually dig into the data outside of what the computer's algorithm is and get you what your house is worth right now? Or the equity reports that Sarah was talking about in one of the ATAs. And we do have a couple of really great resources for that. And I know it's not the Moxi Roadshow, because that's not what it's about in this one, but Moxi does have a really great template for CMAs. And it can be delivered either via email, or you can print it off and drop off at your house. So there's a lot of different components that Moxi can provide when it comes to that CMA that you can customize specifically to your clients and also to yourself as you're branding it. NAR, the Realtor Property Resource, they also have a really great CMA and seller report. Sometimes I get a little bit lost in it because there are so many different reports. That one, it is easy to do in full, but there is a little bit more customizations in it if you don't want to have every single piece attached to that 87-piece report. So if you're using RPR, again, highly recommend. Make sure that you're going through so that the data is relevant in what you're trying to achieve. Because there's not only seller's report, there's CMAs, there's price analysis, and there's also just even kind of neighborhood pieces. And each one of them have a lot going on with it. But it is branded. It's also going to be branded to your Better Homes. It will have your brand and your picture, contact information, not as customizable as Moxi, but has probably, when it comes to the report aspects of it, you're going to find more with RPR than Moxi. You could take it to the next level and take some of the reports or like a one-page summary that you find extremely valuable. You can import that into Moxi and into that presentation specifically. It's very customizable. And then for personal calls, texts, emails, whatever your client's preferred method of contact is, try to reach out to them 4 times a year. And if the messaging, like I mentioned, is not the sales, if those clients are not looking at their phone going, oh, great, Leslie again, she's gonna ask me if I know anybody that's looking to buy or sell a house. Just gonna pretend I'm busy. Because that we all are tired of being sold to in any capacity, not just real estate. I mean, anything we don't really necessarily want to be sold to anymore because we have so much information out there. So the information that we're giving to our clients needs to be valuable and personable in order for it to be impactful. So making sure that when you are contacting them, that it is specific, that it's specific to them, and that you're really making sure that the conversation is you're reaching through to them. Because if it feels stagnant or dull or not as engaging, or they seem annoyed or busy, that might be one that you just want to kind of pay attention to so that you don't lose them. So you don't over contact them out of your business, because it can work in the reverse way. The same with mail. Sometimes people like to get lots of mail or lots of email. And sometimes if I have to get another subscription email that I did not sign up for, I might freak out. So just know your clients and your database. And also, if anything doesn't feel authentic to you, then don't do it. Don't feel like you have to do any certain piece of any of this, but know that those items are out there. So if it doesn't feel like you're valuing your messaging, then you want to find the thing that does. And that's why I wanted to give a variety in that first piece of that automation, so that it can fit with how we like to do business. those magazine subscriptions might not be for everyone, because it might just be that you don't like magazines, you think it's clutter, and it's just gonna get thrown away, and it's a waste of trees, then don't do it. Then we've got another option for you when it comes to getting into the more statistical, piece of it as well.
Is there a digital magazine option?
There's not per se. I believe there used to be, I'll have to double check on this. It used to be an insider program. I'm wondering if they've gotten rid of it last year, but it basically is, they have access to all of the archives of articles and all of kind of the back end stuff. So they can get kind of a behind the scenes look into the magazine and some of those features and archives that maybe weren't before. But I'll have to check into that to see if it's still there. And it used to have a couple of other little benefits and features to it, but
We do have a question in the chat from Jay Morales, wondering about your take on business cards and thank you notes.
that's, I think, personal preference. So you could mix it up is my probably ultimate decision for it. But I think that there is a certain person that you need to know who you're talking to, because if you're sending out, say, to a past client, you might want to have your business card in there because they don't necessarily have that personal connection to you outside of the transaction. And so you probably want to have your business card in there. Also, so they're not going like, ooh, Leslie Randall, I know Leslie Dollinger or Leslie Holman, I don't know Leslie Randall. But having that business card in there could be a benefit. Now, when it comes to your friends and family or people that, know you, that might not be the appropriate spot to be able to put your business card in. Because they probably already have your contact information anyways, and they know the point with your friends and family is to keep reminding them that you're in real estate and to be that top of mind. So I think it could go either way. And that's where really having a pulse on your business is really a great asset. But I also think that it might not hurt either way. So if you put your business card in each one, I don't think that it's going to have as big of an impact one way or the other that it would take to necessarily comb through your database to always be thinking about, oh, should I put this in this one or the other one or not? So it really, I think it depends on your business and how you like to operate. It's kind of the same debate or opinion on should I have my picture on my business card or not? And that's, I think, personal preference and what you're trying to achieve. And I think I'm going off on a tangent now that I won't. But I personally think that we should have multiple business cards for whoever we're targeting at the time. We should have one with our picture, we should have one without, and use it at different times. If you need someone to remember you and who you are, or you're farming and you're farming that market and you're writing them a note card that says, hey, your landscape looks really great, you might want to have it.
When I do birthday cards, I have a change an address label that like is a little more subtle, which is I have a square stamp that has our office address and some other things on it. Also says my name, so it stands out, but it's not as sealed necessarily as a business card inside.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it too. That's a much softer.
You gotta have your address on the inside, so I just take advantage of that.
Yeah, there you go. And those stamps are really cool too. So if anybody's interested, we do have, and you can print labels here, but those return stamps, they do look a little bit different. They look a little bit non-salesy. So, okay, any other questions? Let's just keep track of time. What time are we at? We're 12:40. All right, I have plenty of time. God, all right, now we jump into be highly effective. Yes, we need work and need a lot of attention and planning to do. Some of these are a little bit easier than others, and some of them you might not be interested in implementing in your business at all. So these are just things to keep in mind, and especially with those things that take an extra effort, it's dependent on your business and if that is something that you would like to implement into your business at all. And these, I would be surprised if anybody did multiple of a couple of these bigger ones, because it does take a lot of pre-planning, a lot of time, and sometimes a lot of funds to be able to put and implement too. But the bonuses on those and the impact you get are definitely can be worth your return on investment. Your Pop-bys. I love me a good Pop-by because I think that it is such a great way to stay in touch with your clients. We have some people that do Pop-bys every single month. And if you do that, I would say just rotating who you're touching. And this is also another point of not having to eat the entire elephant at once. You can break up your sphere into different categories or break them up into different months. Now, what I would consider is if you're breaking up so you don't also have to do 100 Pop-bys every month, is that you break it up into similarities. So if you have your groups there, then you can do the dog leashes, right? So if your CRM is labeled with pets or dogs, you can then pull that and extract that out and find a really cute dog Pop-by to do just to that segment of people. Same with like your winos or your sport people or whatever the case may be. I will take wine on my doorstep any day. But the fact of the matter is we have a variety of Pop-bys that might not always pertain or be relevant to everyone in your sphere. And those schedules come out on an annual basis. So you'll know ahead of time who you think will be maybe better to bucket in those certain categories based on what the Pop-bys are coming. And Autumn has to spend a lot of time and work on those. The level that we've gotten is fantastic because we send so many out a month, but it's a lot to just order, find, come up with a cute tag, get in there, separate them out. So it's not a small task, but it is one of those things that we find so beneficial and such a great way to provide value to you on something that has a great impact that maybe we're not all necessarily good at. Because with a Pop-by, you go, okay, now what am I supposed to give in the first place? And you got to get creative on what you're going to do. Then you got to find out how much it's going to cost. And then you go, oh, that's so expensive. And then you find another thing you're going to do. And then you have to come up with the tag, and you have to print the tag, and you have to assemble them. So it sounds like it's just an easy, simple process, but when you're actually doing them, I know you guys know this, but when you're doing them, it can seem a little bit tedious that then it just kind of falls off the radar. So take advantage of the fact that we provide company-wide Pop-bys that all of it's there and ready for you. We just bill your account the next month and you're set and you can drop them off and good to go. The other thing that we have a lot of agents do is they take a picture or a video when they're dropping off their Pop-by. That's another way to be impactful to that person specifically, also without having to talk to them. Because I know some of us have different philosophies on the Pop-by, right? So some people are like, yes, I'm going to go up there, I'm going to knock on that door until I either know that they're coming or that they're not home, and I'm going to hand them this Pop-by and talk to them for 15 minutes because that's valuable to me, right? And then you have the agents that are like, I'm going to go to work day because most of these people are going to be at work and they're going to be home, and then you kind of sneak, leave the car running. Yeah. And then you look to make sure the ring doorbell is on, and then so you can run. Yeah. Different philosophies on it. And then also I think that it's probably mostly beneficial to at least send them something that you dropped off. Because oftentimes, and I would say 90% of us have garages that we go through. We don't often go through our front door, but they'll probably see us on the ring just doing like this. So they'll know that they're there. But and that I think is another benefit too, even though I think the ring doorbells can go either way. But they'll know that you dropped something off and you can kind of do a smile wave and be on your way. So that one is not as difficult, but it does take a lot of planning. It's a little bit more cost, and you do have to spend some more time dropping them off or paying someone to drop them off too. Okay, local spotlights. So this one, I only know of a few people that are doing it, but I think that it is highly valuable if you can stay consistent with it. Probably one of the hardest things to do, but the most impactful is having a local vendor spotlight. Everybody loves that you're promoting local. The businesses love that you're promoting them. And that widens your network. You're creating those connections with business owners that appreciate the advertising. And you're also creating that value to your client as well by being that local person. You can enhance that by either writing blog posts about them, doing coupons, hosting events together, or actually going to the business and doing a video, which I've seen. Those get such good response when it's on social media especially, but you can send those to your sphere and really get high impact, because then the other thing is, you'll get recommendations. Hey, my buddy just opened up this coffee shop. I'd love it if you could be considered for being on this. And then you can spiral that into, okay, here's my local vendor list. Do you want to be on this list? Obviously, you don't want to charge people for it, because that's when I'm in the business of that, when the business is providing value. But you want to really make sure that it's, I wouldn't say not worth their while, but that it's worth their time, energy, and effort. And so there is this one, probably again, most impactful, hardest to execute on a continuing basis. And I've seen a few agents across the board that will do it sporadically and then start and then stop. And that can, I don't know, I think you still get that impact, but the consistency is where it's going to be at. And be that source for local information, and you will find that there will be a bigger net for you to fish from, essentially. But it doesn't work for everybody. You have to talk to business owners. You have to get in front of them. If you can even get in front of them, you have to plan what you're going to talk about. You have to ask if they want to do a coupon. You have to figure out how you're going to present it, what you're going to do for the next month or the next round. But a way to do this that you won't get your 12 pieces or touch points there, but you will get maybe a little bit bigger impact, is if you do maybe a vendor spotlight once or twice a year, or you have a list of vendors where you reach out to your clients, your contacts, your family and friends and say, I want to promote local. There's probably a month for that, right? There's gotta be a local month. There's a month or a day for everything.
November, like.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday or
I
something
think
like
so,
that.
yeah, the Black
Day after Black Friday.
That's a perfect opportunity to reach out to your clients ahead of that date. So, hey, I really want to spotlight this because we want to promote small local business and get a list of them. So it gets your sphere interacting with you, and then you get a little bit more impact and kind of that authenticity of, because those businesses are going to say something about you too, and who you do business with and what their messaging and their value is to. Has anybody done the local spotlights or thought about doing local spotlights, community spotlights?
Yeah,
Yes.
because I live in kind of Bennington is kind of a small town, but I have anxiety about making videos or being in them or talking, like I hate being on camera. So I then don't end up doing it because I feel like that's probably the most effective way, but I'm not good at it.
Ooh, that is a hard one. That, I mean, especially not like 5 years ago, we could get away with not doing a video.
Yeah, like you could
Sharing
photos
photos,
up, then it'd be fine. And now I feel like you have to do some super cute video and edit it and graphics and stuff. And Garrett will tell you I'm not good at technology.
It is a lot of work, absolutely. And that could be an opportunity to just do that list that, I want to once or twice a year spotlight Bennington new businesses. And it could just be easier. Then you can just send it out. You can drop off your Popeye.
Just do a little photo montage and then like a little link or write something about it and post it.
Yeah.
Do your night.
Or a little video without even like showing it. And you don't have to be in it. Yeah.
But I,
You wanna do my body?
I will. In the distance and a little fuzzy. That's good.
They'll get a lot of
You're
all right, any questions on that? This is such and Jane Rollis is on here. He's probably the king of it in really doing that cross promotion and retargeting when it comes to promoting a business or a service and having those different outlets to try to garner more engagement. And there are so many different things that we can layer on top of not just this piece of it, but also within any of these other tools and business philosophies that we take on, because we have so many vehicles for communication anymore. We've got, you can call, you can text, you can video, you can do mass text, you can do blast emails, you can do the straight to voicemail automated pieces, you can do Facebook, Reel. There's so much that you just have to kind of pick what your communication style is and interact that. But if you start layering those on, you are going to catch more of your database. And especially if you have a really big database, you might not have the time to be able to sift through who you think would respond better to a text or a phone call. You might just have to do a blanket blast text or blast to voicemail to catch some of those people, and then also send an email and a Facebook Messenger and post on your Instagram page and still kind of get it, because then you're going to get different people that resonate with different things. But it takes a lot of work.
Have a couple of comments in here in the chat. Jay says, take a photo and send that to them, and they'll have a tendency to post that on social media.
That's a great idea, because then you don't have to do much of anything. Send it out. They've got content to repurpose, and then they'll tag you most likely too. Also kind of on that point with Instagram, you can make posts with joint people. So you can kind of spotlight, and then it pops on your feed and their feeds. So there's ways to utilize it so that maybe you only partner with one or two actual people or businesses, and then just have kind of a here and there ongoing piece, because that will then, if they're promoting you, you're promoting them, and you're teaching them how to promote, then they're going to find value in what to reciprocate.
One other one here, Gina said, I'm curious how many think that in Omaha Chamber membership really does help with local businesses.
How much the chamber does?
Yes, how much that helps.
I'd love to hear from you guys.
I was at an open house the other day, and it was Miller Business Association, so it wasn't the Omaha, and that place was packed.
Yeah.
That open house was.
We're part of, I think, every single chamber, and it's interesting because sometimes it kind of gets lost. But the chamber used to be your focus of where you find information in your local business or new town or city that you are just trying to explore and learn more about, because they were the hub. They were almost like the MLS of information for local businesses and what's out there. Now, I think maybe it's just dependent on what your styling is and how they're interacting with the community, is finding out what they're doing, and like those little mini associations, there's a lot of those around as well, and seeing what they're doing and where you can be impactful in it, and if that makes sense to your business. Because yeah, there is a wealth of information out there that I kind of sometimes forget the chamber is even there. I mean, it's because we can Google things so much, but they are a wealth of information for those things that are not easily Googleable, right? So if you have questions in general about something within the community and what you should or shouldn't or try, that there are wealths of information in the library. But I would check and see what they're doing currently, so that you can either enhance it, be a part of, if you wanted to advertise with them, find out what their numbers are, what their reach is, how many views, volume, and what type of content they're putting out.
And Jay said that you have to be active in any membership that you have. And if you invest the time, it'll work.
I would agree with
And
that.
that's where Raquel echoes that too. And any membership that you're active in can be beneficial. It's how you work it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if it's the PTA or your local HOA, your neighborhood HOA, it is in how much you show up and how much you want to put into it. And it is not just a drop in and drop out. It's really solid connections when it comes to those specific associations, because you have people that have been working together and getting together for years and have already kind of established this kind of how those pieces work together, that coming in, you have to have a plan of how you're going to make that return on your investment, whether it's your time or your money, work for you. I could go to 1,000 different events, but I'm not going to network very well, and it's not going to be great for me because my personality is slightly different. But if you have an outgoing personality where you can drop in, make friends anywhere, those chambers, those associations, the running clubs of the world, that you can really find some impact.
Just to piggyback on that, just real briefly, and probably somewhat redundant in what I'm going to say as it relates to the chamber and other organizations, but in all deference to the chamber, which there's great chambers all over, our economic development folks in Omaha and the communities that surround us do a really good job, and you're definitely on the map and have opportunity given that we're a mid-major market. That said, really what you're passionate about and what really drives you as a human being are the organizations that you should try to draw on, because you're going to find like-minded people in those organizations that are passionate about those causes and that environment as well. I think it's a rule of thumb to just assume that, oh, this is an economic development and So thus I'm going to be associated with this organization. I should advertise in that capacity. Maybe is not as focused or targeted as being a part of an organization that you're passionate about the cause and the interest, and you'll have like-minded thoughts with the folks that are, and probably will develop more deep-rooted relationships. That doesn't mean that I would ignore the board, and economic development and politics and city councils and things like that are things that you're interested in and you want to be involved in that, like people that were actively involved and worked with the chamber and other organizations as it relates to the Gene Leahy Mall redo. That's one thing. That's a great example of something that you could be passionate about that would make sense. But specifically to just say, hey, I want to be part of a trade organization because quote unquote, they're an economic development and I think that's where I should be. I don't know is catching the point that many have brought up, which is you're better off associating with something that draws you to the organization and makes you want to be consistently involved and brings you with people that are going to share your sentiment. That's why I think being a board member of a local charity that really strikes your fancy is an incredible resource because those other board members are probably going to give you resounding endorsements to their sphere because you share their values.
Yeah,
So that would just be a thought.
or create your own. So do business to business, create your own network, and do it yourself. There's a lot of opportunities really, and then you can put them on your 95 touch point plan. Any other questions that have popped up? Good. Okay, client events, highly impactful, very impactful when done correctly. Sometimes hard to pull off because of you're throwing an event. But there's opportunities for reaching out to each of your clients and all of the people that you're inviting. And that's a great opportunity for you to just bombard them until they are in and having a conversation with you, because ultimately what we want at a client event is to basically say thank you. Thank you for the referrals. Thank you for trusting me to sell your biggest asset. And that's an appreciation piece and also a re-engagement where maybe it is somebody that you haven't seen in a while and or talked to that gives you an opportunity to personally invite them. And that's where I think that it's important to make those calls and texts and groups very specifically to your sphere, is so that you get that engagement. Because I think oftentimes when I hear that it was maybe so, I think that maybe it needs to be more personal, because I think a lot of people are maybe a little bit nervous to walk into an event where they don't know anyone, especially if it is going to feel like it's a smaller event. And a lot of people do the Bellevue Berry Farm, Balla's, there's a lot of pumpkin hayrack ride type deals, and that seems to draw bigger crowds because I think there's a level of comfort for your client to be able to go, okay, I can go there, I'm not gonna feel awkward having to have small talk, I can get my hot dog and say hi, and make my presence known, and then bowl. I think that those are great for the volume, but maybe not necessarily as much of the level of engagement and contact you can make with people. So it's really gonna be dependent on what you wanna do, but utilize that. Those four there are really just more, it's more than four, and it should be more than four, but it does take a lot of work, time, effort, coordinating, getting the food there, making sure the tables are set up, forgetting about the plastic cups. There's a lot of things that go in with it. And then it also depends on what you personally like to do. If you love throwing parties and you constantly fill the place, by all means, do it, go for it. You can get vendor sponsorships. You can have very specific tasks or things, cooking, wine tasting, going to Balla's. There's all sorts of different things that you can do and have it underwritten by your vendor network so that it doesn't all come out of your pocket, and kind of recruiting those people to help you plan it as well. So there's about 1,000 ways to do a client event. And I think a lot of people do them, and a lot of people steer clear from them entirely. And then a lot of people will do the reverse Pop-by and create that into an event where they're giving away pies and having people come in and grab the pies and go. So there's a lot of different ways to utilize the client event. I would consider doing some sort of capacity to it. It doesn't have to be a huge, giant thing. You could do even a smaller get together or a smaller invite, and then utilize that to piggyback off of into your other communications and conversations that you're having with your sphere, so that they're seeing some of the value in the things you're doing while you're with your clients too. And it's a great opportunity to introduce other people to each other too. I mean, we have plenty of people that are moving in from out of state and other places, but that's a good opportunity for you to introduce them to other people and create that other layer of impact beyond just transactional.
Does anybody have any idea how many people you have to invite to an event like that? And are you gonna get an RSVP? So say you want 25 people, you're thinking in terms of food and drink. How many people need to be invited then? Would you say 100?
About 100.
And I think it depends too on, yeah, because and that's part of the difficulty in planning it as well is, okay, am I gonna have all 150 of these people show up? Probably not. But am I gonna have 0 people show up? Probably not. But where does it fall in the in between?
So I used to throw my parties like crazy when we were a team, and we tracked it very closely. And we were right at about 30.
Awesome.
And that was, and it became very consistent. And the more consistent our party was, the more consistent, the turnout was. It was pretty much.
What was your communication like with me? How many touch points do you think you had with each person?
We did lots. I mean, these were pretty formal dance parties. But what we did the initial rollout, and then we always did a pop-by in the middle to make sure we got the invitation, and then follow up phone calls. And honestly, if you properly taking care of client event, client party, really the touches before and after, they don't even have to come to the party in some instances. It's you can gain that just by reaching out to them pretty close. And we have, we've done HVAs before that we have on video about parties, and there's a lot of agents that do parties. My team have a couple in the works right now.
Yeah, and you can also piggyback it on maybe an open house too. So if you're doing an open house, that would be a good opportunity for the right house and the right client, utilize a little bit of both.
And we can help you like with an invite one time if that's something that seems overwhelming to you. That's something we do help agents with. It doesn't take Cassie or I very long at all. And then also we do have like tablecloths, things you can check out with us through the office, but you have to check it out in person, let us know ahead of time, and then check it back in. But we have tables, tablecloths, things like that that might make it seem less daunting to have.
Thank you for pointing that out. I completely forgot to mention that we do have a lot of resources that we have on hand, and also the offices too. So any of the offices outside of business hours, and I think most of our parking lots can be available, that we've had a lot of people be able to utilize that. It's just another way that it's an easy place that you're familiar with, that is 0 cost, that you can provide value to.
You can theme them also, just to chime in, you can theme them for the whole entire year.
Yeah.
So if you name a theme at the beginning, you can just follow that through the year, like Tim and I used to do like a Hawaiian theme, and everything we said would be around that. Or we had a Mexican fiesta theme where the invitations were little ducks with sombreros, and their name was written on the bottom, and they threw them in a hot tub, and that's how we chose prizes. There's also some rules around that you can talk to us about it. There's some rules around how to give prizes or who can qualify for them that the commission has looked at inside and out, and Thomas been involved in this too. So make sure you talk to somebody, Tom or Don or myself, Tim, about that. But you can actually see that for the entire year, and it kind of keeps you on track. It's a lot easier than just thinking, oh my God, we're throwing a party and it's going to be just awful to try and do it all. But there's really easy ways to do it. And we kind of have a rhythm. So
Yeah. And that's absolutely a great idea too, that you said is creating that theme from the get-go. It helps get content creation for when you're sending out anything. So any sort of pop-by, any sort of note card, you can take that theme in, and it takes a little bit of the burden off of trying to think about what to do, what to write, what it's going to look like, how to format it. And that also, I'm sure, increases engagement too, because then it's not just a chunked out 3 months ahead of time. Okay, we're gonna have a party. This party has been coming for a while, and it's gonna be awesome.
On track the whole year. Like,
Yeah.
It's Hawaiian, you can drop off pineapple slivers, and, you know, there's just all these different things that kind of, you're able to stay in that mode, and you don't have to keep recreating and recreating. It makes it so much easier. And then if you make it VIP, it's anybody who's given you a referral gets an invite, you know, it's kind of thing special. They get an invite, but then there's other ways for people to get invited. So there's a lot of rules around it, and how do you talk to them about it? So with Tim or I know Don knows them right.
Yeah, here's a rule that somebody's asking about. Are we able to serve wine at an event using an office?
Yes, we cannot sell alcohol, but yeah. So in the back, we're like, I'm not coming, we're gonna. You can pull out, we have.
Yeah, the new office is.
Yes.
We encourage you to professionally use alcohol. But yeah, alcohol, but
Right. Of course, you always want to be cognizant of that there too, because you never want somebody to drive away and it'll be a problem. So if you're serving alcohol, I mean, when you're serving alcohol, just eyeball the room, just so you kind of know, and always be available. And you can also advertise that too, that you'll if you prove the work, yeah, if you know, if you want to have.
Or you can give like 2 free tickets, and anything after that, there's worth. So
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways.
And to the great public, the new office,
Super.
the new office is going to be beautiful. And we designed it specifically with client events and get-togethers in mind. And there is kind of in the back front lobby area is a really big, giant, beautiful bar that will lead into the training room that has open space that you can have either a smaller event at or widen it out to be a little bit bigger. So it's going to be, I mean, very beautiful. But yes, booze is allowed.
Schedule it. Get on the schedule.
Maybe schedule it now. Like, you're going to be really popular. Yeah, okay, so that was our 95 opportunities and touch points for our clients. That, I will just say one kind of final thing, is doesn't even count when it's transactional. If you have a recent closed transaction, you have a recent buyer that's been interested, get them on, use this as your skeleton, and then add on based on what they're doing, because you can have an entire drip campaign plan. When they close on their house, it's going to be impactful, but very specific, and can be timed out so that after years, it's not necessarily just bombarding them. So just want to talk more about that. Is 95 is just the beginning. There are so many ways that you can contact your clients. It's all about how you like to do business, how authentic you want to be, how much time, work, energy, effort that you want to do. But ultimately, there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. Hopefully nobody's offended. I like cats. But also anything that we've talked about today, I'm happy to dive into more, because there's a lot of those tools. I think I've only mentioned like six or seven different ones that digging into can sometimes like don't feel like you have to just figure it out on your own. We're available to help get you to kind of what you're trying to achieve with the tools that we have out there. Any questions, comments? Am I over time? Kind of feels like,
Oh, it's like 1:10, but
I'm always 10 minutes late, so.
well, we had some really good questions, and I think a lot of these sound like a lot of fun to do. You know, these are fun. For some reason, the ones that seem like they take more time seem like they're more fun.
Yeah, and they have more impact too.
Yeah, invite me to your client event. I would love.
I'm going to.
I love parties.
Who asked about the booze? I'll be there. Well, that's all we've got for ATA. If there's nothing else, so thank you guys.
Thanks everybody that was participating, and next week, no ATA because of Paige. So before we end this,
How could I forget to talk about Paige? That was the whole part of you.
I have not ended this. I have not ended this.
Paige next week is going to be fantastic. This is basically our client event of the year's Provide Value to You. There is so much great content, great speakers. We're gonna have a great party the night before.
Free booze.
We're gonna have Jean Leahy Mall tours ahead of that. And the next day we have the offer of the 12-week year. We have a lot of really great speakers. So if you come out RSVP, feel free to send an email to Audra, I'll follow the link, shoot me a text, however you want, and we'll get you all set up for it.
You guys, please come. Those of you that are new and there was no page event last year, I mean, this is something that you're gonna have, this is an event that you're gonna have in mind all year. You're gonna think back to what those speakers said, to your fellow agents that were there with you. And it's just gonna be, I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. I'm looking at the Friday night as a date. I mean, the Wednesday night as a date night, even though my poor husband is gonna be alone. He's gonna be at the door. So it's just a chance to just create a great memory for your time here at Better Homes and Gardens, and be able to take that information that you get, that inspirational, and bring that out into the community, into your clients, and into your life too, because I think it's more. I really think it's more than just real estate.
Absolutely, and we're going into business planning, so we'll definitely get kicked off the page for 2023.
All right,
That's great.
thank you, everybody. Bye.